This is the best Orange County buyer's market there's been since 2019, and I'm going to tell you why. This is Dean Odell with Seven Gables Real Estate and the Odell Group. Today is March 20th. We're going to take a look at some charts, look at some data, and I'm going to explain a few things to you, but things have definitely shifted in the buyer's favor. So let's take a look at these slides. Here we go. So we're taking a look now at the active listing inventory. We're following that red line and look at where it is. It's the highest it's been in years. It hasn't been this high since 2017 to 2019 when it was higher even. Now, if we look where we are today, we have 3,419 homes. Look where we were last year, 2,084. That's almost another 1,300 homes or so. And if you look at the 3-year average prior to 2020, you could see it was way up at 5,286 back then. So now let's go to the next slide and take a look at demand, which when we look at demand today, we have 1,665 homes, which is better than last year's 1,538, but that's about 150 more sales, right? Now we have 150 more sales against those 1,300 more homes that we talked about, right? So it's not that great. And why is that? It's because rates have been high. They are starting to come down, and we're going to talk more about that later. Expected marketing time today is 62 days, which is still a slight seller's market. You can see by that red line, it's also the highest it's been since pre-COVID, 2017 to 2019. And you could see where it was last year at 41 days. So we are in a slower market, and the 3-year average was 63 days. So in terms of the speed of the market, how long it takes to get a home sold, it's kind of like what it was pre-COVID now. But we do have different inventory and different demand. So now we're looking at a slide that shows what it looks like if you want to put 20% down and have a $5,000 house payment, and how it changes in terms of the home you can afford as the interest rates change. And the reason for this is so that you will understand the next slide that I show you, how the higher you go up in price range, a lot of times the slower the market gets because you have less people in that price range, and it starts to get much more costlier to buy with a loan. The higher you go, the higher the loan amount, right? So look at this, for instance. We hit 8% as a high last year. 8% would have only got you an $851,000 home. Where are we today? We're getting closer to that 6.25. So look at that. You can now get a home that's $1,015,000. So that's a big difference, right? That's, almost $175,000 difference. So do rates matter? Of course they matter. They matter a lot, right? So let's keep that in mind when we look at the next slide. So now look at the speed of the market, okay? The speed of the market is different by price range, and you'll see it just goes right down the price range practically. It just, once you get past that 1,000,005, it really starts going up, right? And the amount of inventory versus the amount of demand, that starts to really take effect, and it slows down the market. So you can see we have a hot seller's market all the way up to 1,000,005, a slight seller's market up to about 2.5 million, and then the slight buyer's market starts to begin in the higher end, where we see this excess of inventory that we're going to talk a little bit more about. And you can see the buyer's market just gets stronger and stronger as you go up in price range. So where are we in general if you look at the United States total housing inventory? Now, it's not just Orange County. Maybe we got a little bit bigger, but Orange County is very, very similar story here. You can look back and see what the supply gut was during the Great Recession. That's where those big mountaintops are, right? When you look at this, that's the highest. They were way up. There was almost 4 million homes for sale, okay? Now look where we are in 2024 at the far right. I mean, we are, somewhere probably around 1,000,003 homes, right? So we're not anywhere near the Great Recession levels, because a lot of people keep talking about a coming recession and how housing's going to go down and all this kind of stuff. We're going to talk more about that, but let's just keep this in mind when we do. Okay, and before I get to my summary, we have to look at the Tustin data, because this is, by the way, called Tustin Talks, right? Now we talk about the Orange County market, but we also want to compare where we are in the Tustin area versus other parts of Orange County. And so when we go out to list homes and talk about homes in other cities, you have to make it localized. For instance, I've seen this chart when Tustin areas are very slow, and right now some of them are actually very hot, hotter than the market. So remember, real estate is a localized business. You really need to understand what's going on in your market, and we can clarify that for you. But look now at the 3 zip codes. Look at how many homes are for sale. Look how much those are up. Now, what's interesting is if you look at the North Tustin zip code, the closings are almost up as much as the homes that are for sale. Okay, so it's doing a pretty good job of absorbing inventory. Well, why is that? Well, if we look back at old slides, we would see that the North Tustin market was lagging and it was very slow while other areas and zip codes were hot. What's happening is people are starting to get their houses priced at a point where people will buy them, right? They've had to bring them down over time. But what's interesting, if you look at those new listings, which is down 33%, and across all the zip codes, the listings are down, right? And those listings are down and the pendings are down, and the months of inventory you can see are actually, for 92705, it held steady, but you can see in the other markets, it's actually gone up. It's still, though, a 1.1 in 92780 and a 2.1 in 92782. Those are not bad markets at all. You got to get to 4 to 5, 6 months before the buyer has control, right? So those are far from being in the buyer's control. If you look at the average active price, this is another reason the 92705 zip code's doing well. Look at the average active price and look at the average sold price. They are identical. And anytime you can get those two close together, that becomes a very healthy, desirable market. Where if you look at 92782, there's a big disconnect between what's on the market, the average price at 1.85, and what's sold at 1.06. So things, they're going to have to come down. There's not as many high-end buyers maybe as they're hoping for in those markets, right? There's more competition. You'll notice the average days on the market in all of the markets are up this year. It's taking a little bit longer to get your home sold. So now that we've talked about all this, I am going to go to my advice for buyers and sellers and let you know what we are seeing out there. Okay, buyers and sellers, so looking at this Orange County market, we know we have an expensive market. This is an expensive place to live, right? So interest rates matter a lot. When interest rates go down, prices go up. So if I'm a buyer right now, I would say the market, it's starting to settle, it's starting to settle, it's starting to settle. Now is the time to get back into that market, find a house that you like and get it for a lesser payment than you've had to pay, right, over the last year or so. But what's going to happen when that happens? Well, other buyers are going to jump into the market too. And if we don't have that supply side come up even more, we're already still short in this Orange County market. It's not as bad as it used to be for the buyers. There's still more inventory. As a matter of fact, it's the best it's been since 2019, like I said in the beginning of this video. But guess what? It's been great for sellers since 2019. Okay, so it's just not quite as great, but still very good for sellers. Okay, so buyers, I know it's hard, I know it's frustrating, but how is the market going to go down in value without probably double the inventory we have right now? The demand would have to stay the same and the inventory would almost have to double, okay? And we're just not seeing any indication of that happening. And I will tell you, some of the people that are in high finance that I know, believe it or not, they're telling me this is a temporary situation and interest rates will go up again. And the reason is, and this was the cue they told me, when you hear somewhere in June that we're going to raise the debt limit, when the debt limit goes up, interest rates are going to go up, because right now the Treasury is not issuing bonds for our debt and we're just bringing down our account balance, right? We're just bringing it down, and the Treasury is going to need to raise money to pay its bills, and that's when we're going to see interest rates go up. Now, I don't know if it happens. You could say you heard it here. It was kind of counterintuitive to the way I was thinking. I was thinking maybe, trying to get us into a recession, drive rates down, things will get better. But I'm being told, nope, that's not what this is about. So it's going to be interesting to see how these things play out. In times like this, I've been around a long time, and I do talk to the people that I think have the best information out there. And so I'm I'm going to follow that advice, and I'm going to advise you buyers, take advantage of this market while you can and while rates are down, because from what I'm being told, we will not be going into a huge recession, but let's see. All right. So that's it for now, and I will see you guys on the next Tustin Talks in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and goodbye.